On. Hello and welcome to this new episode of Open Book Entrepreneur. Today we have Denise here with us, and she actually built this system that helps business owners with their businesses. So, Denise, please introduce yourself and your business to our audience.
Sure, thanks for having me, Tony. I'm Denise with First Class Operations, and typically business owners come to us when they think that they have a sales problem that's not a sales problem at all. It's a cost problem. They might come to us because their pricing is higher than ever, but their cash in the bank is not keeping up and they can't afford to pay the bills that they know they should be able to. Or the success that they've had is breaking the systems they've got. What got them here won't get them there. And we start to build that into an efficiency measure that takes them to the next level of where they want to go without spending all the money they have to do it.
Great. So how did you actually end up doing this and building this system?
Sure. So I spent about 12 years in the C-suite as a CFO, Chief Financial Officer. And what I could see across organizations I was working in, was that every time someone thought we had a money problem, it was stemming from an operational issue. It wasn't that we were cash poor or that we were short on things. It was that we were maybe spending too much in the deliverable or the reworks because the client journey wasn't mapped out correctly. Things like that in our efficiency measures were always costing us more. And that led me just into the career of studying operational performance, which led me here to developing what we've developed today.
Great. Yeah. And can you give us some examples of what could those problems be in small to medium size businesses?
Sure. So a lot of times the problems are where, for example, let me just give you a nice tangible example. We were working with a regional car garage that was having a problem between the customer not coming in to pick up their car and not paying their bill, right? And that was what the CEO came to us and they're like, when someone comes to pick up their car after a service, they're not paying for it, which was an odd problem for us to hear. So what we did is we done what we call an efficiency audit, and we looked at all the parts of the process. And what we discovered was that the technicians in the back that are fixing and working on the vehicles were communicating to sales and service, but sales and service weren't communicating to the customer. So the middle person was sort of hanging up the entire process and costing the garage about another 12% onto that bottom line net profit that they should be making. So instead of making 30%, they were making 18. What we were able to do is take the middle person out by putting in some efficiency workflow audits. So when the client takes their car to the garage, the technician actually sends them a video and a checklist of all the things that they know are incorrect. That goes directly to the client. The client then selects what parts of the car they want to be fixed, and the technician can operate right away. Then there's nothing stopping the client from paying the bill. The reason the client wasn't paying the bill is because work wasn't being approved by them, but it was being done by the technicians. And so they were hemorrhaging out 12% on every single job that they were doing in the service desk. And that's a lot of money across a lot of millions, right? Okay, 12%. You're like, oh, well, if you're making 30%, yeah, you take a 12% hit, you've still got 18%. But that's a huge part of the reinvestment in the business
It's
that they
like
weren't able to have.
40% of the business, 40% of the profit gone. Yeah.
100%. So we put in the technology workflow to allow that to go back and forth between technician and customer, and sales and service don't have to maybe not get to the communication piece, which was causing the hemorrhage. So within 90 days of putting that system in, they had found about a 9% back up to the growth, so a 9% return back, and they were only 3% away from it. By 6 months, they had actually exceeded their profit and were moving into about a 34% margin instead of the 30 that they were seeing.
Wow, that's great. Really well done on that. So this is an example of a small business. Now, how about like, for example, would this work if someone is self-employed or not?
Yes, it solves a problem for anyone. Now, here's what we developed. Most business owners look at their business in a linear line format. And what I mean by that is every time volume goes up, capacity has to move in some direction in order for you to deliver the new volume that you've absorbed, right? But if you think of that linear line system, no matter how much volume you increase, you're always adding a cost. Your profit margin between it will never actually grow, right? It's just sliding up and down. So 10% of 100,000, 5% of 200,000, same amount of money on the bottom line, but double the amount of work over here. So where we saw this parallel line system, we patented, or we sort of made our own system and inverted both lines and put an efficiency line to build an equilateral triangle. And when you can balance all three, you can take it from being, say, a 1-to-1 ratio of every time I increase a certain volume, I increase a certain cost, to maybe about a 1 to point 0.5 or 0.25 by adding the efficiency layer, because not all capacity has to be human, although that is the bedrock of what you do. So even if that is a one person entrepreneur, they might be sitting here. For example, we had a one person shop on SEO that came to us and was like, I can't automate my admin tasks. And we were able to sit down, look at the audit, look at the efficiency gaps, and say X, Y, and Z will allow you to stop spending 4, 5, 6 hours over here and push it over there. And again, that's just ways for them to bring in more money. The more we free up your capacity, the more chance you have to add real dollars to your bottom line. And so it really doesn't matter whether you're a one person shop or say you have 50 people on your team. The tools were built to be evergreen. They were built to move you from the eight, like anything under a million all the way up through about 12 million. The evergreen tools will work with you, and no matter what you put in, the response is going to be generated to the level that you're at. So it's not a one size fits all structure.
Okay, great. Yeah. So when you say it's not one size fit all, is it more that you're doing some coaching or everything is in the system, or how is that performed?
It's a hybrid. So once you're in the tool system, we have office hours that you can come and talk to my team. If you also submit a report, like everything that you submit within the tool lies on a dashboard for you. So you can actually go back and look at iterations you've used in case you've changed or in case you're running scenarios, right? But when your dashboard that you have access to, my team also have access to it. So for example, recently, we had someone using our fixed assets valuation tool, and they were looking at buying a building. And behind the scenes, I just happened to be off that day, so I was just playing around, with my own systems. I wasn't taking a day off, but that meant I was working on my own stuff. Is that I could see her playing around, and she was putting in the price of the building for about $4.5 million. And I reached out and I said, would you be open to having a conversation about the building that you're looking at? And I see you're playing with the tool. And she said, yeah, okay. At this point, I was her CFO, and she's like, I just don't want you to tell me no on the building. And I was like, as your CFO, that's not my job. My job is to help you get what you want, right? It's your vision. I just know how to help you execute it. And so we had a conversation where she was like, yeah, I think the building's priced at this. The tool told me this. I think it's accurate. But what we were able to see is that because we were also her CFO, is that it was really a cash transaction for the landlord. It wasn't that the landlord needed to sell the building, they just needed some cash for another project. And so what we were able to do was negotiate a land agreement for $1.8 million, help the landlord Section 1023 off a different property to offset the tax burden he was going to have. And both parties ended up having, a deal that they needed out of the transaction, because the building itself really wasn't worth 4 million that they were going to try and put it on the market for. But my client would have paid it really to keep in the space that they were in and avoid the moving, because that would have been just as costly. But with that, we were able to, sort of take a $1.2 million off the top range, because they were using our tools, and the dashboarding allows us to see it if you need help immediately.
Great stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And if someone wants to actually get in touch with you, Denise, or learn more about your tool, how they can do that?
Sure. So you can go to our website, www.firstclassops.com, or you can find me on all social media platforms, Denise at FCO, and send me a message.
Okay, great stuff. Yeah, Denise, thank you so much for being a guest today. Thank you all for watching, listening to this episode. If you like it, drop us a like, subscribe, and also if you have any questions for Denise or me, you can ask them in the comments. And yeah, I'll also share the links as well in the description. And see you all in the next episode. Denise, thanks a lot for being a guest.
Thanks, Tony.
Bye bye.